Almost there. The NFL schedule released tonight, or at least what's left of it that hasn't been released. The NFL overlords and broadcast partners all super excited. Do you know who I want to hear from? Drew Bledsoe, a legendary comedian joining our program today, wine expert, and of course, legend at the quarterback spot for the Patriots, a little time at the Bills as well. I want to hear what were schedule release days like back in 95? 20 years ago, 94, like early 2000. What were those like compared to what it has turned into as we celebrate what is like a holy day here in the NFL? Very excited. So much to celebrate. Who's getting primetime games? Eagles fans aren't going to sleep on the East Coast. They've got so many primetime games. It looks like, I don't know how Patrick Mahomes is going to have any time to celebrate any holidays this year with all the primetime action they appear to be getting. We have Drew Bledsoe on the show to break down some storylines, of course, around the NFL. And then we're going to get smarter. We love PFF. Saw Mr. Chris Collinsworth over the weekend in Cincinnati golfing. And we have got Trevor Sikkema on the show. He's simulating what an NFL draft lottery would look like. This is for the sick pups, and sick pups we are. To Evan Adams. Let's talk about NFL draft lottery. Let's go down that wormhole. We've got lots to talk about. Drew Bledsoe, a true legend, joining our show. We're going to talk a little Patriots, a little Drake Maye, and then we've got lots to go over with Trevor Sikkema, little NFL storylines. I want to get right into it and talk about Trey Hendrickson. And let's talk about Trey Hendrickson. I didn't want to. I thought that by May 14th, this would be done. I would have hoped that it would have been solved, and it's not. And I think it's May 14th, and I think we need to get a grip. I'm not interested in who's to blame. Of course, there's Trey and the agent, a lot of blame for the agent, the Bengals side of things. I'm not really that interested in that. I'm interested in what now, and I'm interested in attacking some of these ideas that are out there from Bengals fans, even. Major League Bengals fans on Trey Hendrickson, his value, and what he deserves and what he means to the team, and really just kind of like how things work. Okay, objectively, let's talk about Trey Hendrickson, lead sack leader. He deserves to be paid more and paid what the market reflects. That's objective. Like, he should get what the market reflects, and he should get it now, going into the last year of this deal. There is this idea that he should honor his deal. Like, he had this contract. And I don't know if it's just like we don't know how the world works in the NFL. And I'm not saying that it should always work. And like, I understand the honoring of one deal. We can get into that in a second. But it is truly almost unheard of for players of his caliber in their prime to play out the final year without an extension. Khalil Mack with the Raiders, maybe. But again, the Raiders weren't going anywhere. Cincinnati, you're a Super Bowl contender. We both sides. We got to go. We cannot procrastinate and like have a slow start and get a slow start we can't do it. Okay. He's too important. He's too important to that defense. There is so much like BS about Trey and his value being slung around. It's actually driving me up the wall. Okay. He led the league in sacks. I already said that. Everybody knows that, but it's not like he's a one-hit wonder. There's this idea that he's this one, like, or it didn't matter. Are we joking? He's second in sacks over the last 3 years combined. So that's one sack behind Myles Garrett, the highest paid, the best. One sack behind Myles Garrett over 3 years. 3 years. Why should he be making half of what Myles is making? Is he Myles Garrett? No. Is he half of Myles Garrett? No. Next, there's an idea like, oh, he's old. You can't pay somebody. This dude's 30. Don't pay him. He's too old. He's in the same draft class as Myles Garrett, okay? He's just a year older than Myles Garrett. And if you look at his production, and you should do that before you start chirping out there, he's still ascending. He statistically is getting better every year. So stop with the age. We have a window. Both sides, let's get it together. Age isn't a factor. And then there is that, he has a year left on his deal. Like, what happened to honoring your contract? I can't with this one. I can't, because again, it's unheard of to have players like him go into their last year without a deal. And there are things that you want to stand apart from, right? You want to say like, well, he should honor his deal. And we're going to be the team that makes him do this. This isn't all on the Bengals side. This is like obviously just been a mess a little bit. And I do believe they'll get it done. They did it with Jamar. Jamar also, as we can, we know he did not, he got the extension. It makes sense. It's just what happens. And it's what happens on winning teams. Okay, so what happens on teams like the Eagles, the Chiefs get ahead of things more often than not. There are teams that do that, and then they're the most successful. And you want it for there's other. We'll get into some of this, but the Eagles, a great example, like AJ, Devontae, Jalen, Saquon. They keep everyone happy, and it saved them cap space in the long run. There's number sense to it. There's culture sense to it. We've seen the Bills do this as well. This isn't one of those things you want to like dig your heels in out on, honoring a contract. And then if you look at that argument, if you're like Trey's side, let's have a little empathy for that. You're seeing what other guys are getting paid. You're seeing how meaningful you are. You're seeing how you were the one staple on that defense, to try to do everything you can, do it the right way. He showed up in good faith. Like, I don't know, exactly what's going on with all that, but do teams keep their side of their word on that? No. And nobody really expects them to, and it's maybe it's a bigger indictment on what contracts are and what contracts aren't. You can talk about there's more guaranteed money to make up for that. But how many times do teams rework deals? Or if there's not the production they expected, they're just going to cut a guy loose to save cap space. And it's not a judgment on anyone. It's the way the league works forever, and it continues to work. And when I have examples like the contenders, which the Cincinnati Bengals are, they're right there. They're with the Bills, the Chiefs, they're with the Eagles. I consider them in that caliber. Those are guys who work out these deals, and they don't treat them as ironclad deals. And they're constantly tweaked and reworked or even terminated to do right by the player, to do right by their own cap space in the long term. And there's there's another idea going around. You can't pay for superstars. They pay T, so you can. Really, the Eagles have lots of superstars, and they seem to pay them just fine. Not to I'm making the comparison positively for the Bengals. I love the Bengals, and I see them. I want everyone to feel that same way. I think they can do it. I think they're going to do it. I think we like to procrastinate a little bit, which is probably why I love them, because that's how I operate my life. Do the Bengals need him? Yeah. I saw people saying yesterday, well, what did all those sacks get them? It didn't get them anywhere. Well, what did the 5,000 yards from Joe Burrow get them? Should they get rid of him too? All the catches from Jamar, should we, because it didn't get them, there's yeah, there's another idea from insiders that there's no market for Trey. That teams is, Commanders would like him. Lions have cap space. This is a guy who can help win a Super Bowl. And again, this isn't about blame. I just want to see both sides get things done. I don't know a lot of this, right? There's a huge chunk. This has been going on for a while, whatever. But the Bengals are so special. And I think that we can, I have faith, I guess, because of the Jamar, because of the T, that we're going to get this done. And Trey showing up is great. Hamilton, I'll also say him showing up and saying it's not a done deal. We're not past the point of no return. I don't really know what that does for his leverage or whatever. But he's so, I guess what I'm dispelling right now is it's nothing about the Bengals or Trey. It's literally fans who are saying that he's not worth it, or not understanding why he would want or deserve to have his deal reworked. And it's the idea that he's not important to this team, and those sacks didn't make a difference. So let's cut him loose, or let him go. What is that? I guess that's my vibe.
Yeah, and those sacks were a big part of them making a run where they had a chance at making the playoffs at the end of the season after that disastrous start. He is an elite edge rusher in this league, and those guys tend to get taken care of ahead of time, like you said. And yeah, that idea that there's not going to be a market for him is crazy to me. There's a lot of teams with a lot of cap space that can make that work if it goes down that route. But yeah, this is something I think if you're the Bengals, you have to figure out a way to get it done, because this window is now. They can make it work, and he's too important to that team.
Do you think? What did Dan did Orlovsky? Who said that? There was a discourse on can they win the Super Bowl without him?
Yeah.
What do you think? I actually don't know. I don't know. I have to really think about that.
I don't think they can. I think he's too important to that defense. We saw like as good as the offense is, and the offense can make up for a lot. You need some studs on the defensive side of the ball, and I think they've gotten better defensively over this offseason. But
Yeah.
he's the centerpiece. He's the guy.
I mean, I think he wants to be there. Him showing up and saying like it's not. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
just a PR thing, don't hate me thing. Like, but I think he's getting a little venom from Bengals fans about honoring the deal, and it's hard. I mean, when I think about it, it is a little like, well, just because other teams do that doesn't mean that we have to. Like, we don't have to pay him now, and you can draw the line
Yeah.
and say that, but there's actually financial sense in not doing that.
Yeah, working ahead, like you mentioned the example with the Eagles. That's part of the reason they've been able to afford everybody is because they got him this stuff early. AJ Brown, I think, was the highest paid receiver at the time when they paid him. He was either number one or number two. He's now out of the top five. Like
Yeah.
Devontae Smith has been pushed out because when you get these things done early, this market is constantly exploding and growing, and these guys are getting paid more and more. It makes financial sense to do this stuff earlier too.
I'm optimistic they get it done. I don't like clowning on a player for wanting to get paid, especially when his market reflects that he's not being paid enough. I don't know the agent part. I didn't even want to, I mean, like, so I'm not speaking from a place of inside knowledge on this. I just think like, literally my thought is, can we just go win a Super Bowl? Like, can we just go do that? And like, enough now. And I think it's a team that sort of has been criticized for procrastinating when it comes to things. And I obviously, like, some people like being put in a corner. We got slow starts. We got this. We got like, that doesn't mean it's, just because it works. It doesn't mean it's right. Like, maybe we can just like all get better at like getting it done. But I actually don't care. I just want them to get it done now, get it done whenever. I think there is a market for him, so I don't like that either, just from the player's perspective. But Bengals' perspective, they gotta love him. And I like that they're still talking. I like that he showed up. Things are trending in the right direction. Now let's shut up and like get a grip and get it going. Both sides. And Bengals fans, I didn't love that. But I love you guys. Okay, let's go take a short break here. We're going to have Drew Bledsoe on the other side. He'll love that I'm champion and a player getting his bag, What was schedule release day like back in 1995? What was the all the hoopla, all the this? We're going to talk to Drew Bledsoe after this break. 1 sec. I wonder if, oh, really? Cal with all the reverence in the world.
I love it.
And as he should.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like my point's going to get lost and people are going to like just kill me.
Or they'll just attach themselves to one thing that you said and make it all about that. But no, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, this stuff.
Because I'm not really repping the Bengals side of it. I'm trying to, but that's not what I'm mad at. I'm mad at fans saying these dumb things. Sorry.
Yeah. There's a lot of emotions involved here, and there's a lot of history to it too, which I get. But, and again, with the history with the Bengals, like we're seeing them change things. Like getting those Jamar and T deals done was a great step in the right direction, and against like some of the labels people put on them as an organization. So
like,
again, I think I'm just hoping like that all this ugliness like pushes it to a point now where it's in the forefront and it pushes this to get done. So hopefully that's the good that comes out of yesterday.
You know how like you'd love me to like not do everything in the morning last minute, and it would obviously like make like 18 different things easier, but I'm like, no, it's just like the mess of like what it is. Like it's just how it works, and it works for us. But like I can say that, but like it'd be better if I, like, so it's like one of those where it's like I see what the deal is, but like you could alleviate. I don't know how to even alleviate it. Yeah.
But again, I think
I also don't like.
I do think
part of me also doesn't like the conformist thing of like, well, everybody does it ahead of time. So like, I can see like if I'm there, I'm like, so I'm going to do it my way. But like, it works when that happens. So then I'm like, shoot, like, you can't say that the Eagles aren't a good blueprint for like making it work, or the Chiefs really.
Yeah.
Chiefs don't always get that right. We're talking about this morning, but like, they get ahead of things more often than not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, and I do think there was something to like,
and if they pull this off,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I do think there was something to Trey saying. I don't think I think he meant it when he said, like, yes, this can be fixed. Like, it does feel personal to me, but like, that doesn't mean that it's beyond repair. Like, I think that
Yeah.
matters. Like, you can, we saw it got to the point where it felt a little ugly with T and Jamar, and like, you get the deals done, that all gets forgotten about. So hopefully they can make that happen, and we won't even be thinking about this a
And if
couple
they
months
do
from
that and
now.
they have these superstars, then like I don't think then I want this narrative to stop being a thing. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I'd love to
Yeah.
see. All right, cool. All right, a little mute. We got a little
Timpson in motion behind Bledsoe. Plenty of time for Drew. He looks for Crittenden in the corner of the end zone. Oh, what a catch! Got it. What a catch! Oh, Ray Crittenden.
Yeah, I love that you have like a spin move. It looks like a video game. I love it. That's what 1990. When was that? What was that game? What was the highlight?
That was 1994, which God, I can't believe that's over 30 years ago. That just makes me feel so damn old. But it was a lot of fun. That was a great game. That was a game. It was kind of a trip for me, to be honest, at that age, because that was Dan Marino on the other sidelines, and I had his poster on my wall growing up. Right. And, so like when I'm playing against like Dan Marino and John Elway, Jim Kelly, I feel like I'm out there on the field playing against like Superman and Batman. Like these people aren't even real to me, and all of a sudden I'm competing with them. It was a trip, but it was a lot of fun.
So what was Dan Marino like after a game? Like, is there a dap
He's
up?
awesome.
Like, what was that like?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Those guys, they were always so kind to us young guys coming in. They're a decade older than we were. And I don't know if they totally understood how in awe, I was and we were, and I tried to play it pretty cool,
so?
I don't think they did at that point, know that, man, I was like kind of like just so nervous to go say hi. But they were so kind to us, and then we got to go to some events, and they would hang out with us and make us feel like we were part of the cool club, even though we were just kids.
I just looked up your stats from that game. I had no idea which game it was. You had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, and I was like, oh, I'm going to tell him that. And then I saw that Marino had 473 and 5.
Pissed me off. It was one of those games. I mean, even though, in retrospect, losing sucks always. But it was just so cool to be out there with my hero, and between the two of us, 800 yards and 9 touchdowns. And we were driving to come back and win the game at the end. Since you brought up this really terrible memory, I guess I'll go ahead and this can be my therapy session. But we were driving to win at the end, and Ben Coates, who was my guy, who was just worn out. It was like 95 degrees. They stripped the ball from him as we were driving and took it over. Otherwise we would have, otherwise I would have had 5 and we would have won.
It's in that. Sorry to bring it. That's what the wine is for. I hope that's what's in that.
That is, yeah, the wine. Yeah, well, it is. It's. I'm on the West Coast, so I've got my morning wine going.
We love that for you. It's so interesting to think, like, I feel like when growing up watching the NFL, I really thought everyone hated each other. Like, I thought every quarterback hated each other, and like it was like so. And I think you guys hit it better. Like these quarterbacks nowadays they're exchanging the jerseys, they're doing the pro-ams together, they're like all hang. Like I liked it better thinking that you and Marino hated each other's guts, and he was horrible to you 10 years older.
Yeah, that would have been easier. But now some of the defensive guys now, I love that picture of me and Danny, and it was funny.
Look at that.
At that point he tore his Achilles. He was wearing this big boot. I was kind of at that point I'd known him. This was a couple of years later. At that point, I think I'd known him for a little while, and so I was giving him shit on about how bad he looked in his uniform at that point. But no, I had it. I think the best way to describe it. You remember the God, you might be too young, but like the Saturday morning cartoons, like Wile E. Coyote and where they would go and just literally try to. But there was the one scene where the sheepdog, they walk in and they clock in, and then they try to kill each other. And at the end of the day, they clock out, and then they walk out. Best of the family. We'll see you later. So that's kind of what it was like. It was like, especially the guys in the trenches. They would just try to kill each other, and then after the game, would chat, and they would see each other in the off season, and sometimes play golf and so on. But during those games, they were literally trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I mean, you started saying, I don't know, it was nice between the quarterbacks, but the stuff with some of the defensive players was real and carried on. There was no clocking out. Who were those guys? Who was that? Who was that for you?
Oh man, it was funny for me because one of the guys that I really hated playing against the most was Brian Cox, who played for the Dolphins, and then he played for the Jets also, but then he became a teammate. And when he was my teammate, I loved him. But man, when he was on the other side of the ball, man, he was always chirping, running his mouth, and I hated playing against him. But then we became teammates, and I loved him.
I mean, to me, Brian Cox is the dad in Succession. Like,
right.
You're just the great actor.
You're just a kid. You just have to go back and watch some old YouTube videos from my era, and then you'll know who some of these people are.
Do you guys all still talk, like you and the quarterbacks from your era? Like, what's the relationship? What's the text chain like now?
Yeah. Depending sporadically, I'll text Danny from time to time.
Danny,
obviously, John Elway and his family are going through an incredibly brutal time right now, and I haven't reached out to him yet because I just want to give him some time to breathe. But I'll keep in touch with him. Rick Meyer, who was drafted with me in '93, we're good buddies, talk all the time. Jim Kelly, I keep in touch with quite a bit because kind of cool. We share a birthday. Me and Jim Kelly are both born on February 14th, so we got that in common. Yeah, so a lot of those guys I'll keep in touch with a handful of times a year.
And I'm going to offer you congratulations. I hope those guys are texting you about your two-sport athlete daughter, Healy.
I know, isn't that cool? Yeah,
she's graduating from college this Sunday. Let's go! Congrats. What does that feel like?
Oh man, we're done paying tuition. It feels great. College tuition is a real number these days. So no, super proud of her. She has 3 older brothers, and they've had to admit that their little sis is the athlete in the family. Started 4 years in 2 different sports. Pretty amazing.
Love that. Congrats to her. You got the Are you going to cry? Like, what does that feel like to have your daughter graduate college?
I don't know. It's different. It's not like high school graduation. I feel like high school graduation was such an emotional time, and then dropping her off at college, that was really emotional. This one, it's just, we're proud of her. I don't think it's quite as emotional. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I was talking about schedule release. Like, it is a show. It is a show. Like, it is a holiday, a holy day, basically now. Take me back to like 95, 20 years ago. Or is it even 30 years ago? That's 30 years ago. Oh my God. What?
See, God, you're being so mean. Why are you so mean? What was that?
I would like to know, like, schedule release day. Did you even, you clearly didn't even know that was a day. How did you find out? What did paint that picture for me?
I don't remember. So it obviously wasn't a thing, right? And I think it came out like in the newspaper, like back when you used to get your news like on actual paper. That's how long. And then I think it was delivered by like the Pony Express. I really don't remember. So I know it. I remember. I do remember we would see it and we would know who like the first few games were and so on. But it certainly wasn't like like everything in the NFL now is so huge. Like the draft was only 2 days, and it was not this whole thing. So they've done a great job of just kind of capturing a lot of the year, even during the off season. From a business standpoint, they're killing it. They've got events all year round that are just capturing a lot of the sports world.
You never looked at that schedule and thought, when is that big neck roll with Brian Cox coming around? Like, what was the first thing? What was that first thing that you looked at when you saw the schedule? You got to remember that. Bye week?
No, What are we doing for the bye week? Well, we had Parcells, so he only gave us like a day off anyway, so we couldn't go anywhere. We would know who the first game was, maybe the first couple. And there were times where you would go through the schedule and look at kind of your non-conference schedule and see how that stacked up. But I don't know. I just don't remember it being a thing like it is now. We would know who the first game was, but that was kind of it.
Your first year, they had 2 bye weeks, right?
We did have 2 bye weeks. That's right.
Let's bring that back.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that they got 17 games, I think they should get an extra break in there and just make it this even longer season.
I think,
for
let's
everybody.
listen to the great Drew Bledsoe. Okay. He's saying, let's take a breather, people. 2 bye-week seasons shall
Absolutely.
return. That's the headline, Drew. I just got you into. I just roped you into it.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Super hot take by Drew Bledsoe. Extra bye week. I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the news cycle.
Wow. Okay, I'll bet you. Let's see if we can clip this out and see what happens here.
Okay.
You were a first round pick, of course. You're saying the draft was just 2 days. It wasn't a big deal. Drake Maye, I'm sure you're still plugged into the Patriots as ever. 1 year as a pro under his belt. What is one thing you're so looking for him to ace this year? Like something that you not something that he needs to work on, but something you're excited to see him jump to this season.
Yeah. Well, the biggest thing that happened from year 1 to year 2 was the game slowed down. That first year, I think it was maybe, I think it might've been Phil Simms that described it this way. I can't remember back in the day, but that first year, it's like you're putting your head in a popcorn machine while the popcorn's going off. It's happening so fast. That second year, things tend to slow down. You can anticipate a little bit better. Plus, I think they're, that the left tackle they drafted, I love that dude's attitude, and I think that's gonna really benefit him. Because the game also slows down when you're not getting hit as much. So I think they're going to give him some help. And I just look, for him. The ball come out of his hands a little bit faster. Anticipate a little bit better. Just more efficient, I think would be the biggest thing that I would anticipate happening for him this year.
I mean, your second season in '94, I went and did my game log research. You led the league in yards your second season. You made the playoffs your second season. Yeah. I expect that kind of jump out of Drake Maye. A lot of people, I know that you talked to me about how impressed you were with his athleticism. You mentioned it just a little bit here. Do you think you should run more?
Yeah, it's such a great weapon, and something quite honestly I'm a little bit jealous of. It was not a big part of my game, obviously, but it can really break the back of a defense because when you have a defensive play on third down, and we're looking at some third downs right here where you cover everybody's covered, you've done your job, and then all of a sudden the quarterback pulls it down, runs, and gets a first down. That's really disheartening to a defense. When you really feel like you did your job in coverage and you covered everybody, and all of a sudden a guy pulls it down and runs for a first down, it can really be devastating to a defense. I'm not necessarily saying he should run more, but the ability to do that, man, it really changes. I mean, you watch Pat Mahomes it seems like every game, at the end of a game, Pat would make one big play running the ball. Obviously, he's magic throwing the ball, but it just always seemed like in crunch time he would pull it down and run for that first down. That was just a backbreaker, and I think Drake Maye has the ability to do that.
Do you think obviously the coaching change everyone's talking about, Vrabes, all of that, it's got to be hard to have to pick up a whole other vibe, a whole other thing. Like, what are we, in that world, should I be patient with Drake Maye this year?
Yeah, I think it's going to require some patience. I do believe in Josh McDaniels. By the way, the other Josh McDaniels, the real Josh McDaniels is our winemaker, Josh McDaniels. And then the other Josh McDaniels is the football coach. But I think Josh is great. There may be a learning curve where it may take a year for them to become really comfortable with each other. It may happen really quickly. You never know how those relationships are going to go. But my hope now for Drake is that he can have some stability from that standpoint, where hopefully now he can work with the same coordinator for a while. I had 8 different coordinators in 14 years.
Is that right?
When you do that, you're learning a new personality, you're learning a new philosophy, you're learning a new language, all of this stuff. And when you can work with the same guy for a few years, you start to think the same, you start to, see things the same way. And so my hope for him is now that he'll have some stability for a while from that standpoint, where he can work with Josh for a number of years.
When you were in the Parcells experience, which of course, you had some of that continuity to start your career, foundationally, you had this guy, and there were a lot of changes after he left. how grateful are you? Like in the moment, it had to just be like, oh my gosh, this guy's like a madman. But like, is there a lot of gratitude for, looking back at it for sort of setting you up for success? How do you view that?
Playing for Parcells was never fun. It was,
I didn't say that.
He was just a pain in the ass, so I would be curious to see what would have happened, had he not, gone to the Jets, and then we had to give up some picks, and it was just like there was a lot of stuff that they had to give up some picks, and then we had to give some picks back when Belichick came. But it was I don't know. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened had we been able to have some more continuity for longer, coming off of that Super Bowl. Now, full respect, we had Pete Carroll after that, and I love Pete. Don't feel like he really got a fair shake in New England. So I wish, that it had worked out for Pete to be there longer. We had a bunch of injuries at the wrong time. That really hurt him. But I don't know. It would have been interesting. I don't know what would have transpired. You can't go back and rewrite it. But it would have been interesting to see if we'd been able to maintain that continuity for a little bit longer.
When I asked you like how great, like, was there gratitude, and you're laughing about like he's a pain in the ass, where did your head go? Like, what was the memory? Where did your head go with?
Oh man, I don't think anybody, if they're being honest, would tell you that it was a lot of fun playing for Bill. He was funny. If he wasn't talking to you, he was really funny, because if he's talking to somebody else, you're like, oh, wow, that's mean. But funny. But if he was talking to you, it wasn't that funny. So I don't know that anybody would tell you that playing for Bill Parcells was a great time. But obviously, Hall of Fame football coach, so glad I got to play for him, but I don't think anybody would tell you that they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you mentioned talking to Sims a lot. I mean, Sims went through it with Parcells as well. It's just interesting part of history, and like what did that mean to get that kind of a start to your career, whether it's something you maybe didn't enjoy but got the best out of you. You don't sound convinced, which I love. There's a lot of talk about uniforms. Let's talk fashion. That's why you're here, Mr. Bledsoe.
Let's talk fashion. That's really what I'm known for. I'm a fashion icon.
Yeah. Of course. The Patriots, so they were picked as part of this Nike Rivalries alt uniform program. Okay, it's going to debut this year. Pats were picked. Some fans are thinking that they're going to go with this classic 90s vibe. Let's take a look. There we go. What do you think of them bringing this guy back?
I like it, man. I like that. We had, if you can find the 94 uniforms, we only wore those 1 year, and I thought those were kind of cool. We had numbers on the shoulders. And then the block letters, and then we went went 95, 96. We had kind of the two different colors of blue. It kind of looked like soccer a little bit, and so those were cool. But the 94 unis, I thought those were my personal favorite. I thought those were pretty cool. But again, when we start talking fashion, you do have to recognize that I think I was the last and maybe only ever first overall pick that did not wear a suit to the draft. I wore like some jeans and a red polo shirt when I got drafted first overall. And so, you see if you can find it. But and the reason was, I feel like I'm
on Rogan pulling things up on the fly. Okay, let's do this.
I didn't, and the reason was I didn't own a suit. Like literally. So there we go. That was my draft uni, wearing some jeans and like a red polo shirt, but I didn't own a suit. I was at Washington State, grew up in Walla Walla. I went to Washington State, never had a reason to wear a suit. I never went to court, so I didn't have to wear a suit. So
what did you wear to graduation? What did you wear to like?
Oh man, and I only graduated from high school. I never graduated from college, which my mom still hasn't forgiven me for. I don't know. I can't remember what I wore to graduation. It was probably pretty awful. I was rocking.
When's the first time you wore a suit in your life, Bledsoe?
I did that rookie year. We did have to dress. We did have to wear suits when we traveled.
I'm sure Parcells had a thing or two to say about your draft outfit, right?
Yeah, he didn't mention that, but we did have to. So I did go get some suits after I got drafted. Once I had a couple of nickels in my pocket, went and got dressed and buttoned it up a little bit.
You look good in a suit. Look at this. I'm seeing. What is it? Look now. You've got your Now I'm like down a whole other wormhole of Drew Bledsoe's outfits and the suit.
Drew Bledsoe fashion.
Yeah. Do we have those 94, the uniforms with the numbers on the shoulders? Do we have that? I think we're looking for them. Hamilton, I'd love to see those. Is this it?
Yeah, that one. I thought those were cool. Just like the big block letters and then the numbers on the shoulders. If I get to vote, which obviously I should. There we go. See, I was rocking the hockey hair and had the suit.
Yeah. Drew, do you mean to tell me that you have not heard anything about those uniforms coming back? You have no scoop for me? Come on.
I have no scoop. I am so sorry. I could probably find out for you. I can do some digging if it's really, really important, but they haven't reached out to ask for my fashion opinion, which is shocking and somewhat insulting that they haven't reached out to ask me about fashion.
Let's talk about your Bills a little bit, right? Let's listen. We're doing schedule release, of course. They've got, they're going to get some primetime games. They're complaining about not having enough primetime games that have been released, but it's going to happen, of course, tonight into tomorrow. Joe Buck, I saw, he was on Good Morning America and he picked the Bills to win the Super Bowl. What do you think of that?
Man, that would be awesome. Obviously I'm most closely associated with the Patriots. I was there for the longest, but I have a particular affection for the Buffalo Bills and for their fans who have been so loyal for so long, and they've never won a championship. I would love that. That would be awesome to see the Bills finally break through and get that championship. And they've got a great quarterback. Is certainly one of the very top guys in the league. I love Josh. And they've put some weapons around him. He's not having to carry the entire load offensively, so I think they are set up to really be in the mix for sure. But man, I would love that to see the Bills and see their fans actually win a championship would be amazing.
I love that. We talked Pete Carroll, we talked Parcells. Like, how much wine is it going to take me to ask you about your thoughts on Bill?
Which Bill?
Bill Belichick, my friend. Bill Belichick. He of the headlines. He of every headline ever. Your thoughts, my friend.
That's just an amazing phenomenon. When the news broke last summer about his girlfriend, my daughter and her best friend were living with us, and they're that generation, right? And then Bill is my dad's generation. So some of those conversations with my daughter were pretty interesting. They're like, yeah, that'd be like you dating somebody your grandpa's age. So yeah, it's quite interesting. I think if nothing else, people are going to pay attention to what's going on in North Carolina. So there's
this is good PR.
Yeah, if you're looking for clicks, that's working.
Maybe
I'll be interested to see. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, quite an interesting phenomenon. I do, in the really kind of mean part of my personality, I do kind of wish that news had broken, earlier before we did the roast, because that would have been the only topic of conversation. Nah, it hadn't really broken before then.
Oh.
I think maybe there were some rumors, but if it had, I don't know that he would have showed up. And if he did, boy, he would have gotten killed.
You didn't meet her at the roast, Jordan? You didn't meet her at the roast?
I didn't.
Interesting. I thought that was part. I thought Brady made a joke about it.
I think it was sort of out there a little bit, but it wasn't out there fully publicly at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. How much would I have to pay you to see like the text chain of you and Patriots have passed on this whole thing? Like, what could that possibly look like?
It's there've only been just a few that have gone around. It's just, I don't know.
Are you happy for Bill? I'll ask you that. That's my real question.
Of course, I'll tell you why. You want people to be happy. And I'm sure he's happy. She seems like she's happy. So, hey, good for them. But optically, it's pretty crazy. The one thing we did bring up was like, man, if you're her dad and she shows up for Thanksgiving and it's like, hey dad, this is my boyfriend. I'm like, what? That would be awkward, but Yeah.
I like that
Anyway.
it's interesting that that's what you're focused on in the whole world. Like since you found out a year ago, like there's a lot going on. Like there's a lot that's gone on since, but you're stuck on the age part of it, which I think I get it. I mean, she's old enough to go to doubleback.com and get some wine.
It is. Yeah. She's old enough to buy some wine. Hopefully she does. Anyway, yeah, it's funny, but it'll be interesting to see how, on the football side, how that goes. I wouldn't bet against him. He's one of the greatest football coaches, maybe the greatest football coach of all time. I wouldn't bet against him success on the field, but it'll be interesting to watch, certainly.
And I think that I liked your take. It's good. Like people are going to be watching. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that. And you're happy for love. And I am too. And actually I mean that earnestly. I actually do sincerely mean that. I hope he's happy. And I hope she's happy and I hope they're happy. And there we go. We appreciate you. Go to doubleback.com for some wine. We're going to take a TV break. I'm going to keep you on during the break for just one more, if we can. I have a wine question for you. Sorry.
Yeah,
we're still live on YouTube, Drew. I feel like you'd be a tough person to be friends with because like I know some wine people and it's like impossible to buy wine and bring to their house when you're invited. So like I hate people like you, truly, because it's like the people who have like the wine cellars in their basements and that shit, because it's impossible to like not second guess and have a full on panic attack at the wine store. Give me a bottle. And I don't think of not like money wise, like give me a bottle that if I showed up with it, like you'd be impressed. You'd be like, oh shit, this is good stuff.
Probably something from Italy, honestly. I love Italian wines, especially Northern Italy, like Barolo, Barbaresco, some of those wines. And then if you brought something that actually, because those wines, they really age well. So if you show up at my house for dinner, if you can find an older bottle of Barolo, I'd be very impressed.
So if I brought an older bottle of Barolo that ages well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. You'd be impressed by that. What can you tell us? What's going on with the winery? What's going on with the wine business? It's
going really well. We've got 3 different wineries now. The latest greatest is our Bledsoe McDaniel's winery. It's Willamette Valley Pinot Noir from Oregon. The stuff's just like candy. It's so delicious. It's one of those that when we bring it home to the house, it doesn't last very long. We'll bring home a case. I'm like, oh, good, I'm going to put this in the cellar and age it for a few years, and then we go to the box, and the box is empty. You're not supposed to get high on your own supply. We all know that, but man, we drink a lot of our own Pinot Noir.
When you sit down with Tom Brady, what bottle of wine from your supply are you putting on the table?
Yeah. Probably our double back estate reserve, which is our flagship. We only make a handful of barrels every year of the estate reserve, and that's truly our best stuff. And so if I sit down with Tom, we'll do that if I can get him to actually have a glass of wine.
I probably doesn't do that often.
Some sort of avocado smoothie or some bullshit. I don't know.
Avocado wine sounds fantastic. I saw that he was on a podcast recently, Drew. He was talking about watches for like 5 minutes straight, like what kind of all the different kind. And then I'm thinking, like, if you were to show that to Drew in like 2001, this clip of him being like, "Who has better watches, me or Jay-Z?" And they're like, "What would you think? Like, what would you think watching that?"
I don't know. I suppose I could see it back then. He was pretty frugal because he was making rookie minimum, so he wasn't into that yet. But he did. I think that his rookie year, I think he got for the other quarterbacks. I think he got us cologne.
Really?
Which is I don't know whether to be
what kind.
I can't remember. What it was. I don't know if I should have been insulted, like, "Hey, dude, you stink," or. But, he grew up with sisters, so he at least had that going for him. He definitely would not have been a watch guy back in 2001. That's for sure.
Yeah. Him going to like Walgreens and getting like Brut, that green bottle of Brut to give to you guys is so freaking hilarious, Drew. That was a great little nugget. Love that. You're the best. You're, Parcells' biggest fan. I'm your biggest fan. You're a fashion icon, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Drew.
Hey, man, always great to talk to you. Let's not let it be a year.
Enjoy the graduation. Put some tissues in your pocket, big guy.
I'll be fine. I'm a rock.
Wear a suit.
No emotions. I don't know. Yeah.
You're the best. Are we back on
All
television?
right, thanks a lot.
We're back on television. Drew's leaving us. Drew Bledsoe, an absolute legend, fashion icon. Guys, please go to doubleback.com. Pick up that, what was it? The Estate, whatever wine that was. I'm going to have to get that. He said, bring an old Barolo to the house to impress him. He's got lots going on. He really lives his life the best way. He's like up there, mountain country, Montana, Washington. Like, I literally want to trade lives with Drew Bledsoe. And maybe my next guest as well, PFF's lead draft analyst, co-host of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast, Trevor Sikkema. How about Drew Bledsoe, huh?
I am so glad that I was right after Drew because I got to learn so much about the wine that he likes. Yeah. And if it's good enough for Drew Bledsoe, then it's obviously going to be good enough for me. So I'm very thankful that you put me in this exact time slot because I was listening just as every other fan was out there. And I was doing the same thing as you, writing down, okay, like this type of Northern Italian wine. Hard. Okay, this is what Drew Bledsoe's into. So that was good. I appreciate it. It's
intimidating. Maybe you can have a bottle of wine or a glass of wine tomorrow when you're done with giving the people what they want tomorrow on YouTube, 8 p.m. live, 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe. It's the NFL Stock Exchange YouTube. You're going to give people what it looks like if there was an NFL draft lottery. What do I need to know?
Yes. Everybody was going crazy earlier this week when the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA lottery. There's all the, oh my gosh, like it's rigged, like this is crazy. But at the end of the day, like it was certainly getting people to talk about it. And so, of course, with the NFL being the titan of an industry it is, a lot of people were like, well, what if the NFL had like an NFL lottery? What would that look like? And so myself and my co-host Connor Rogers on our NFL Stock Exchange show at 8 p.m. Eastern, you got it right, tomorrow on our YouTube channel, we are going to be answering that exact question. So what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to go through the exercise, is we're basically pairing the bottom 14 teams, the teams that picked in the first 14 selections of the 2025 NFL draft, and assigning them with the team that they would have gotten if they were in the NBA lottery. So then we're going to hit the button of simulate the lottery, and we're going to come up with a new draft order and then redraft the 2025 NFL draft with whatever that new order would have been, which is kind of crazy. You see like the numbers on the screen of the percentages that were there for some of those teams. If the draft would have been like for the NFL, it would have been, let's see, Dallas would have been the 49ers. So the 49ers would have gotten the number 1 overall pick. Then it was the Spurs, which would have been the Carolina Panthers. They would have had the number 2 overall pick. Then it would have been the 76ers, which would have been the Jaguars. So like we're going to do it in a different order. We're going to hit simulate live on the show to do it like that. But if it would have happened the way that it happened in the NBA, that's how it would have ended up. And the Titans, I think, would have gotten the 5th overall pick. So it would have been crazy. Would have been crazy if the NFL would have done a lottery like that.
Do you know how sick of a pup you are? Like, do you hear yourself? Like, you are truly a different level.
Okay, our listeners are called sickos. Like, that's literally what they name themselves to listen to our show because we try to think about everything through an NFL draft lens. So I am very aware and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
You guys are absolute sickos. I can't wait to watch. I understood like 60% of what you said, but it sounds fun. And then maybe I'll watch and I'll decide if I think that the NFL should adopt that sort of a vibe. It's happy schedule release day, my friend. Since we're sickos, we're so excited about what's going to be revealed, the entire slate in full. What is the one game that you're most excited to find out where it lands?
Honestly, I think it has to be the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think there's, some leaks that are coming out this morning. I don't know if we've seen that. I haven't seen that yet, but this is obviously a massive rivalry with where Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes are in their careers. I mean, last year, at the very beginning of the year, Lamar Jackson comes up a toe short in the back of the end zone with Isaiah Likely of going into Kansas City and beating the Kansas City Chiefs and starting the season off with an emphatic victory there. And so with that not happening, though, the last time that the Ravens beat the Chiefs in Kansas City was 2012. And the last time that the Ravens beat the Chiefs overall was 2021. And that was an epic game that was in Baltimore. And so I feel like it's the Ravens' time. Not to say that the Chiefs aren't going to be a contender anymore, but I feel like it's the Ravens' time to get a victory over Kansas City and to really say, okay, we've been close. Now this is our year to make a Super Bowl run. So I'm very curious to see when that game happens because it was very entertaining with that being at the very beginning of the year last year.
Okay, love that. Can't wait to see that total rivalry. I can't. Tonight bothers me because it's only May, and like you get so excited, and then it has to like go away for a couple of months. But like I've already playing the imagery in my head of like what the first snap's going to look like, what the energy is going to be like. I want to get into. We're going to do a speed round of this, okay? Rosters, of course, they're more set than they were. Rookie premieres this weekend. We love that. We like seeing the visual evidence of them in their new uniforms on the practice field, their new teammates. On PFF, I know you are such a sicko. You watch the tape, you crunch the numbers. Rapid fire, who are your top 5 offensive skill position groups? Running back, wide receivers, tight end. Let's take a look at them. Riddle them off.
Okay, 5-1, because we like to build up the suspense here on this show. Number 5, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. I still think that Aaron Jones has some left in the tank with him as a veteran running back. I like that. Jalen Naylor is that third wide receiver there. Maybe it's Ty Felton. They have Jordan Addison as well. I got them at number 5. Number 4, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, obviously 2 stud wide receivers in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, but who's wide receiver 3 on that team? I like Chase Brown as a running back, but he's not as solidified as some of the guys that I'm about to mention. They have Mike Gesicki at tight end, so I got them at number 4. Number 3, I'm going to have the Detroit Lions. The Lions are deep basically in every single group. At running back, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got David Montgomery. You feel good about that. Sam Laporte at tight end. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. I even like Tim Patrick as a wide receiver 3, so I get Detroit there at number 3. I'll have a little bit of a homer pick here, and I'll take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 2, but I got reasons why. Obviously, Mike Evans is a 1,000-yard machine. Chris Godwin, he's coming back from injury, but it's still Chris Godwin. They just drafted Emeka Egbuka to have an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver, along with Jalen McMillan. Cade Knott's good at tight end, and then obviously you got Bucky Irving, the phenom from last year. And then, look, I can't disrespect the Super Bowl champs at number 1. I got to go with the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dodson, getting Dallas Goedert to come back, and then obviously Saquon Barkley at running back. So that's my 5-1 best skill position groups in the NFL.
Again, this just makes me want to watch them on the field. Those offenses are absolutely loaded. TV break here with Trevor Sikkema of PFF, guys. We're going to keep you through the break, of course, to keep talking. And I want to talk a little, why not pick who's going to the playoffs? Okay, hold on. I had a couple questions I still wanted to ask you. I don't know if I want to ask about defense. Give me one sec. Those are great offenses. Oh my goodness. But I mean, every year we have a last place team that makes the playoffs. So here are some odds of the teams. Okay. Last to playoffs. Okay. Who do you think will be that team this year?
I think the obvious answer is the Chicago Bears. Like that's the easiest one there, but like I'd even take the Chicago Bears easily over the 49ers. I'm not the biggest 49ers fan. I think they're going to take a step back this year, but my sneaky pick is the Patriots. I didn't even realize they had, I didn't realize they had that good of odds. Plus 160. Vegas is out here getting sharp on us, but the Patriots, I think they are the second best team in that division. I think they're going to finish as the second place team in that division, right behind the Buffalo Bills. It's just a matter of, is that going to be enough wins for them to sneak into the wild card in a really good AFC? But I am a strong Mike Vrabel believer. So I'm in on that. I'm in on that.
He's done it before. We talked about in the morning meeting. We're like, do we ask Bledsoe about Vrabel? It's like, no, I don't really have questions about Vrabel. He's been a head coach before. He's taken a team far before with less. Like, he's going to be just fine. I actually really buy the Patriots too. I forget Hamilton. What's their win total? It's low. What is their win total? 4 and what is it?
7
Hamilton
and a
has
half.
it. Oh, it's 7.5. I thought it was lower than that. It's lower than that, I think.
Oh, no, it's 7.5.
Oh, 7.5. I'm going to go over.
I'm going 8. I'm going 8 wins. We're going over.
We love that. Do you have a dark horse pick for MVP?
So I don't know how dark horse this is. I feel like it's dark horse enough. I'll say Kyler Murray. And you look at Kyler Murray and
yeah, that's pretty dark horse.
Last year, I felt like, I obviously like number 1 overall pick. Everybody knows Kyler Murray. I don't know how dark horse it is, but like I think he's gonna play well. It's the second year of him in Drew Petzing's offense with him as his offense coordinator. Last year, he had his highest big time throw percentage outside of that 2021 year where he looked like he could have won MVP. The turnover worthy play percentage was still pretty low at 2.5%. So if he takes that next step up, if he gets the big time throw percentage into like 6-7% again, we're going to be talking about the Cardinals potentially winning that division. And then if we're doing that, because look at their defense. I mean, their defense is unbelievably talented this year with all the additions and free agency in the draft. And if Kyler balls out, he's going to have the opportunity to be an MVP when it's all said and done. So year 2 in Petsing's system, I'm expecting to step up. So I'll go Kyler Murray there is my dark.
Do we have the odds to put on the screen for Kyler? Oh, we don't.
I feel like they weren't. They can't be that high though.
Best odds. He's tied with Saquon and Tua, plus 5,000, my friend.
Might have to sprinkle a little something on the Kyler Murray odds there.
Sprinkle Salt Bay a little something. I mean, he's ahead of Drake May.
Just a little something on there. Yeah.
Yeah. He's behind Trevor Lawrence. Interesting pick. I like that. You can check out the NFL Draft Lottery live on YouTube /at NFL Stock Exchange. It's tomorrow night, everybody, 8 p.m. Eastern with Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers, 2 of the best sickos in the business. Thanks, Trev.
Thanks, Kay.
I didn't hear him. Did he say bye? Bye, Trev. Appreciate you. NFL release day, of course, is here. We're getting closer to the start of the 2025 season. So FanDuel has spreads up, right? We're talking FanDuel, what to sprinkle a little something on. They already have spreads up for the opening game. Eagles 6.5-point faves. We went over that when it happened. Over the Cowboys, international games are out. Broncos 6.5-point faves over the Jets. And there's a bunch of future stuff as well. If you guys, are we on? We have stuff, right? Okay. Okay, great. You can bet futures, guys, on FanDuel. You can parlay. This is actually really fun. Different futures bets together. A team to win the division, another team to miss the playoffs, that kind of thing. So FanDuel, I decided to sort of team up and do some custom NFL future specials based on some of these hunches. You can find the future specials live. Look at this. Yeah. The picture is 3 years old. Love that. But it's the FanDuel Sportsbook under the NFL Futures Specials tab. Go there. Check it out. I love the NFC North. Here's a couple that I have on there. I like the NFC North. All 4 teams. You just heard Trevor Sikkema of PFF. Like the Bears could definitely be last to first. They could win the division. I like them. So I just asked the overlords if I can get a special on 3 or more of them to make it into the playoffs, and they answered my betting prayers. I love the return at plus 390. Go spread some love over there. Panthers or Patriots. Sorry, Patriots. I love. There's some stuff on there for them. There's a bunch of them, guys. So go check them out with some of these futures. And of course, I put some love to the Bengals and Commanders. I think that they're on there as well. I have some love for both of them to reach the conference championship game. Wouldn't that be so fun? Right? Little Bengals, little Panthers, bright lights. Why not? Plus 2,600. Which team of those 2 will Trey Hendrickson be playing on? That we don't know. Enjoy your holiday of schedule release. Go have fun on FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll see you guys tomorrow.